A very interesting conversation that we're going to have with British restaurateur Asma Khan, who had an unexpected but a very important guest walk into her Tony restaurant in London called Darjeeling Express. Let's get in Asma Khan on the broadcast. She's of Indian origin chef who recently hosted King and Queen at her restaurant. Asma, thanks so much for speaking to me. Let me start by asking you, how did you feel with the King and Queen walking into your restaurant?
While they were at the restaurant, it just felt like, they were, visitors. And it's only later on that I kind of felt completely overwhelmed that they had actually come. Until the arrival of the King and Queen, there were so many security issues, trying to make sure that everything was safe, that everything was, they came into a restaurant. This is unprecedented. Never have they come to a restaurant, and they came into a kitchen. So from 7 o'clock in the morning, we had security in our place, the dogs checking everything. So it was just too much was going on. I really felt the impact after they left. And then it was overwhelming. I was just could not believe that they had come to my restaurant.
Absolutely. So any reason, Asma, why they chose your restaurant? What was the reason that they decided Darjeeling Express is where they wanted to make an unscheduled stop?
I still don't know. It's not that I approached them or that I invited them. I wouldn't even think, you go and invite the king if you've seen the king in some other restaurant. But I've never seen him or his mother and the queen in a restaurant before. So it was something very unusual. And when they told me that I could invite, some guests to that event, I decided to invite, really interesting women who are Muslim, but who are artists, rugby players, really doing exciting things, painters. Someone's written, writes a crime thriller. So really kind of looking at a kind of broad range, because, we are often, when people look at Muslim women, they kind of think that this is, that we are not so creative, that we're being controlled, especially if you wear a hijab. So a lot of the women who came to that event with the king wore hijab, and one of them is a rugby player. She's got gold teeth. Obviously, she's broken her teeth. And the king loved talking to her about, how she felt playing, what her position was. The king was telling her which position he played rugby in. He was just so nice. He was so wonderful, so warm, and so loving. Literally, I had to pull him from one to the other because he was just standing and talking to everyone for too long. I had to literally take him from one place to another because he was just excited. The queen went in to start packing the biryani. He was still talking outside. She came out and said, "Charles, come in." He had to go back in to help with the biryani. It was just lovely.
Which also brings me to ask you, Asma, about the importance of Indian women in British society. Do you see that evolving and they playing now a major role in British society?
Definitely, you see a lot more South Asian Indian women in positions of power. In fact, one of the women who I invited is the head of the CEO of Accenture, which is a really big company for UK and Ireland. So you find women now in positions of great power. And I think that, we do need to now work together to kind of help. There is a marginalized part of our community, women who have come in and are in very, haven't learned the language, haven't settled in. I think we still need to help that generation of women who were left out, who came before, the internet and the mobile phones. And I think that still, we need to do a lot more, but I can see Indian women, Indian culture, Indian food everywhere. And I'm so proud of that.
And Asma, what would be your next goal as a chef now?
I think I would like to make our food more accessible. I want to come up with an idea where, because you find, grab and go everywhere, where you can just go in and pick up something in this country, but you never find really high quality Indian food. So I think that's the next thing I want to do, is to actually have a kind of outlet, a different kind of business, but really, again, using a lot more women to produce this food. And, we just the simplest of things, chai and samosa, beats any kind of thing you can get in King's Cross Station today. And we are not there. We're not there. Indian food needs to go into spaces where we're not there. And right now, I think that on this, we need to actually kind of come up with greater ideas of actually involving more women in food, because it still is a very, very male-dominated business.
And Asma, what was the kind of feedback you got from the king and queen when you served Indian food to them?
Yes, I made, very Calcutta style chicken biryani, and he was very fascinated by it. It was a short visit, so they had asked for all the food to be given to take away. So I sent them momos, tangra prawns, all the kind of food that we have in the restaurant. Everything was sent, including papa doi. The king was fascinated by the shahi tukra. So when he started asking me questions about the shahi tukra, I told him that I've sent it with you. So he was quite happy. And when I gifted him my book, Monsoon, I told him I don't expect you to cook from it. He said, yes, but I'm going to eat from it. He was really interested, asked really interesting questions about the food, the rice, and I just think it's great, because I feel that often you think that people who are like in his position or would not be interested in food, but food is the universal language of love. We should never use food to divide people, and I think that was the exciting thing. And I've been working a lot of kind of doing television series on food. There's one called Different Stories, which is coming out in India soon, where I've talked to some really interesting people about food. You understand, when you talk to people, the moment food is the great leveler. So for Different Stories, I met some really very big superstars. But the moment they started talking about food, they became like a child. And I think that the king as well, he was childlike. He was laughing and was giggling, when he was kind of packing the dates, because he was really fast. My mistake to think that the king would just do a few. No, he came to pack a lot of the dates. I was scrambling because I was so slow, because they were just so fast. And I think that, this is the one thing that unites us. I feel very privileged to be where I am, that this becomes a home for everybody. People come here to eat, but also people come to understand about my people. They understand India when they come to this restaurant, because Indian food tells its own story.
Indeed, Indian food tells its own story. Asma, thanks much for speaking to me on NDTV.